Picture this. It's a Tuesday afternoon. You've fed your baby, changed them, made sure the room is the right temperature. You've done everything right. And yet somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet question sits. Am I missing something? Most parents assume that if a baby is fed, clean, and not crying, development is happening exactly the way it should. That the little everyday moments, the background TV, the quick scroll on your phone, the way you respond when your baby babbles at you, are too small to matter. But developmental psychologists have spent decades studying exactly those moments. The small ones, the invisible ones. And what they've found is quietly unsettling. It isn't neglect that slows a baby's development most of the time. It isn't poverty or trauma or absence. It's the innocent habits. The ones that feel completely normal. The ones every parent around you is also doing. The ones no one ever told you to question. 7 of those habits are what this video is about. Not to make you feel like you've failed. You haven't. But because once you see these patterns clearly, you cannot unsee them, and that awareness alone changes everything about the way you show up for your baby. By the end of this, you will understand what is actually happening inside your baby's brain during those ordinary, forgettable daily moments. And you will know exactly what to do instead. Here is the gap that almost no one talks about. Parents today are more informed than any generation before them. You have read the articles. You have downloaded the apps. You know about tummy time and screen limits and the importance of eye contact. You are paying attention. And that awareness matters enormously. But there is a specific blind spot that even the most attentive parents carry, and it has nothing to do with knowledge. It has to do with what feels natural. When a behavior feels loving, feels normal, feels like what every parent around you is doing, the brain stops questioning it. It gets filed under. Fine. Under. Harmless. Under. That's just how babies are raised. Researchers who study early childhood development call this the intention gap. The distance between what a parent means to do and what the baby's developing brain actually receives. You meant comfort. The brain registered overwhelm. You meant stimulation. The brain registered noise. You meant closeness. The brain registered an obstacle to learning independence. And here is what makes this so difficult. Babies cannot tell you. They won't cry to signal that a habit is quietly working against them. They will just adapt. They will adjust. They will develop along a slightly altered path, and you will have no idea the fork in the road ever existed. Most parents only discover these patterns in hindsight, when a toddler struggles with emotional regulation, or a 3-year-old has a harder time with focus than expected, or a child who seemed perfectly on track suddenly hits resistance in ways that feel confusing and sourceless. The science is not trying to assign blame for any of that. What it is trying to do is move the conversation earlier. Before the fork. Before the adaptation. Back to the Tuesday afternoons and the small invisible moments where development is actually being shaped. That is where these 7 habits live. In the ordinary. In the well-intentioned. In the everyday. Let's go through them. Habit 1. Background television. It feels harmless because your baby isn't even watching it. But researchers in early language development have found that background TV doesn't register as ignorable to a baby's brain the way it does to yours. Every few seconds the audio shifts, a laugh track, a sudden voice, a change in tone. Your baby's brain involuntarily redirects attention toward it. That constant redirection quietly eats into the focused, sustained attention that early cognitive development depends on. The TV isn't the problem. The fragmentation is. Habit 2. Answering every silence. When your baby pauses mid-babble and you immediately fill that pause with words, sounds, or a toy, you are doing something that feels responsive and warm. And it is. But developmental psychologists have found that those pauses are not empty. They are processing moments. Your baby is forming a response, building a neural connection, practicing the rhythm of communication. Filling the silence too quickly teaches the brain that it doesn't need to complete the loop. Over time, that pattern can quietly affect language development and conversational confidence. Habit 3. carrying your baby through every transition. Moving from room to room, from high chair to floor, from indoors to outside, these transitions feel logistically simple to you. But to your baby, they are rich sensory events. When you carry your baby through every single one, you remove the opportunity for their vestibular system, the part of the brain that processes balance, spatial awareness, and body confidence, to engage with the environment. Babies who are frequently set down and allowed to experience transitions at floor level develop stronger spatial reasoning, researchers say. It is not about doing less. It is about doing it differently. Habit 4: Narrating everything. This one surprises parents every time. You have probably been told that talking to your baby constantly builds language. And it does, to a point. But researchers have found a meaningful difference between responsive narration and constant narration. Responsive narration follows the baby's lead. You describe what they are looking at, what they are touching, what they seem curious about. Constant narration fills every moment with adult-directed language regardless of where the baby's attention actually is. The first builds vocabulary and connection. The second can gradually dull the baby's own drive to initiate communication. Habit 5: Rushing to soothe. Stop here for a moment. Think about the last time your baby fussed and you felt that immediate pull in your chest to fix it. That pull is love. It is instinct. It is everything good about being a parent. But researchers who study emotional development have found that a brief, tolerated moment of distress, not prolonged crying, not abandonment, just a few seconds of sitting with a feeling, is actually where emotional regulation begins to develop. When every uncomfortable feeling is removed before the baby has a single second to begin processing it, the brain quietly loses practice at one of its most important lifelong skills. Habit 6: Overscheduling stimulation. Classes, play mats, rotating toys, sensory bins, the intention is beautiful. But developmental psychologists consistently find that unstructured, unstimulated time is where creative thinking, self-directed attention, and early problem-solving are built. Boredom, in small doses, is neurologically productive. Habit 7: Maintaining eye contact during feeding. Research suggests that feeding time, particularly bottle feeding, is one of the most important windows for emotional attunement. When parents scroll, watch TV, or look away consistently during feeds, babies lose dozens of daily micro-moments of connection that directly wire the attachment system. 7 habits. All innocent. All worth knowing. Here is what none of those 7 habits make you. They do not make you inattentive. They do not make you careless. They do not make you the reason your child will struggle. Every single one of those habits exists because you were trying. Because you were present. Because you were doing what felt right with the information you had in the moment you had it. That is not a small thing. That is everything. The parents who never question their habits are not the ones watching videos like this one. The ones who are here, who sat through 7 uncomfortable truths without clicking away, are exactly the parents whose children are going to be okay. More than okay. What developmental psychology is really asking of you is not perfection. It has never been perfection. Researchers who study secure attachment, the deep, unshakable sense of safety that becomes the foundation of a child's entire emotional life, have found something quietly radical. It is not the parents who never make mistakes who raise the most resilient children. It is the parents who notice, who adjust, who stay curious about their baby as a person rather than a checklist to complete. You are already doing that. You did it by pressing play. There is a concept in developmental research sometimes called the good enough parent. Not perfect. Not endlessly stimulating. Not always responsive at precisely the right second. Just present enough, warm enough, and willing enough to keep learning. That is the bar. And by every measure that matters, you are clearing it. Your baby does not need you to go back and undo Tuesday afternoons. They need you to show up for this one. The one happening right now, after this video, when you put your phone down and let a pause breathe a little longer. When you sit on the floor during a transition instead of scooping them up. When you follow their eyes instead of leading them. Those moments do not feel like neuroscience. They feel like nothing. Like ordinary life. But that is exactly where your baby's brain is being built. In the quiet. In the small. In the unremarkable seconds that add up to an entire childhood. You were always enough. Now you are also informed. So here is the one thing you can do today. Just one. Pick any single habit from those 7 and spend the next 24 hours simply noticing it. Not fixing it perfectly. Not overhauling your entire routine. Just watching for it. Notice when the background TV is on during floor time. Notice when you feel the pause. Notice where your eyes go during a feed. Awareness is not a small step. In developmental psychology, it is actually the first and most powerful one. You cannot change what you cannot see. And now you can see it. If this video gave you something, a new way of thinking, a moment of recognition, one sentence that made you feel less alone in how hard this job actually is, consider subscribing. This channel exists for exactly the parent you are. Curious, caring, and willing to keep learning even when the information is uncomfortable. There are no perfect parents here. Just informed ones. And every week, there is something new worth knowing. Your baby is lucky to have someone asking these questions. That is not a small thing either.